In this video, I'm going to show you the one belief, if you adopt and if you have, will result in crazy magnetic energy. I believe that in 3 to 6 months from now, you may look back and see that this is the one video that changed it all for you and help you to have magnetic energy from the inside out. Now, over the last 3 to 6 months, I've been going deep on studying attachment styles, magnetic and polarizing energy, the power of non-neediness and how non-neediness is the key to really also having magnetic energy. And through all these books that I'm reading, through all the different seminars I've listened to, what I have learned is that there's one specific belief that changes everything, and that really what this all comes down to as well is our belief about ourselves. What do we believe to be true about ourselves? Because whatever we believe to be true about ourselves is what we are getting a reflection of. So if we believe that we are only worthy of somebody that maybe is a gaslighter, somebody that has a very controlling, manipulative energy, maybe somebody that's emotionally unavailable, if we believe that that is familiar to us and normal for us, then we continue to attract those patterns into our lives. However, what the common denominator of all these different beliefs are and all these different energy dynamics are, is it comes down to the belief of worthiness. Now, let me share with you an example of how I realized this, and it was a game changer for me when I was studying attachment styles. Now, learning about attachment styles also will completely change your perspective of how you relate to other people, because there's one of 3 different attachment styles. Some people say there's more than 3, but just for the video sake of this, there's 3 main attachment styles that explain most people, and that is 1, secure. Secure attachment style means that somebody can give and receive love equally. They are able to be intimate with somebody else, but also if that somebody else is going through a process or something, they're not trying to fix it. They're not worried. They don't feel like someone's going to always leave them. That is the secure attachment style. Normally, it also is a reflection of inner childhood, of having the parents that were emotionally present, physically there, and there's like they believe that they can be secure in their own love life. Now, that with an anxious attachment, for example, anxious attachment normally is people that lean in for love. It's people that crave their partner's validation or approval. Anxious attachment is if somebody else is having and wants space, it's like normally they want to fix it, they want to figure it out. It's normally also the person that's waiting for the text back and is hoping that like the other person comes around and likes them, and it's normally rooted in a childhood where either mom or dad were physically or emotionally unavailable and their needs weren't met. So anxious attachment style, normally their needs weren't met, so they're seeking for the validation, approval in the people that they date. And then that is called anxious attachment. Now, in avoidant attachment, we have that of somebody that normally has a similar childhood trauma in a way where the mom or dad may have been physically or emotionally unavailable, but there is a different way of responding to it. Whereas the anxious person leans in and craves it, the avoidant person finds safety in individuality and being individual and separating themselves from somebody else. Also, normally there's a trust wound where maybe mom or dad cheated on each other or something, or there was a divorce that happened or something, and then somebody decided, I'm not safe with intimacy. I take care of myself. And they normally, in relationships, normally anxious and avoidance attract each other. And what ends up happening is the anxious is wanting the love, the avoidant wants the space, and it becomes this like kind of cat and mouse game. Now, the epiphany game changer that I learned from all that couple-minute explanation there is that the biggest difference, one, is that the meaning given to the childhood trauma determines what somebody sways, which way. So for example, the anxious, the person gave it the meaning, the kid gave it a meaning that said that that people are going to leave me. There's normally also an abandonment wound that came from that of the anxious and the avoidant. The goal is to become more secure, obviously. So what ends up happening is the anxious believes, I'm not worthy and people leave me. That's the belief they have. Well, also, needy energy is one of the most non-magnetic, it's one of the most not magnetic things there is. It's one of the most repelling energies there is. Because neediness is saying that what outside of myself is more important than what's inside of myself. Neediness is when you make someone else more important than yourself, when you put someone else's needs above yourself, and you want something outside so that you can feel safe on the inside. And what ends up happening, though, is from that needy energy, it repels love. One of the most attractive qualities you can have is non-needy energy. And one of the ways to go through that, honestly, if you go a little bit deeper, it's to actually become aware of the inner child abandonment that happened, where mom or dad physically or emotionally was abandoning, and then what happened, the meaning was, this is because I'm not worthy. This is because there's something wrong with me. Why would they leave? And we internalize it. And that's for the anxious and also for the avoidant. Why did mom cheat on dad or dad cheat on mom? Why did they do this thing to me? Or I can't trust anymore. But what ends up happening is there's this belief that is wired in of shame. I believe I'm broken. I believe there's something wrong with me. Whereas the secure person believes that they can receive love and also believes that someone isn't going to leave. So they're not changing their center of gravity to make this other person happy, which has a depolarizing effect on it. So the power of what I'm sharing in this video that changes everything is becoming aware of what you believe to be true about yourself. And the core of this is rooted in releasing shame. When you release shame, this is what I had to do. I had to release the belief that there was something wrong with me, the belief of feeling broken, because from 7 to 15, I had that ex-stepmom in my life that my dad attracted, because my dad's the nice guy kind of people pleaser mentality, attracted the narcissist, my ex-stepmom. She was my life from 7 to 15 years old, controlling, manipulative. But for some reason, what ended up happening is I wired in this belief that said, my brother and I were not worth being protected. We were not worth having like a normal childhood. Or there was something wrong with us, and that's why we were physically or emotionally abused. And that belief then stayed with me. And then after my ex-stepmom left when I was 15, when my dad finally divorced her, guess what happened? I attracted a girlfriend that was very jealous and controlling. And I had a belief that either someone was going to leave me, or I'm not worthy, or I deserve punishment. I deserve to be controlled. And that was in my life. For 4 years I dated her, and then I broke up with her. And then I was in the relationship like 3 years too long, because my dad was in the relationship for like 6 years too long. He didn't know how to leave or how to break up with somebody that was like crossing his boundaries or doing something that shouldn't have been acceptable. Well, in the same way, I would let myself feel like I was in this little box. And you want to know the crazy thing is that little box of having somebody control me that I would let happen, that felt safe from childhood. So most of these attachment styles or most of these beliefs we have, we in a way fight for that energy because it feels safe. So not only does it feel safe, but it feels familiar. And familiar energy and familial energy are almost very similar words, because it literally feels like family. So we are recreating the same childhood dynamics in our relationships. And when it comes to magnetic energy, the biggest block to us feeling magnetic is that we may still believe there's something wrong with us. There's shame. We may believe people are going to leave. And the key is becoming aware of these beliefs. That's 90% of transformation. And then choosing to let them go, realizing we made the belief, which means meaning. We created the meaning when we were kids, when we didn't know better. And when I was studying that attached book and all these other books, the one common denominator that changed everything is secure people just literally believe they are worthy. Secure people believe that somebody is not going to leave them, and they believe that they deserve love. And they're able to also give love and be intimate. And the key to knowing this is that if you're anxious or avoidant, you can become more secure by becoming aware of the energy inside of you, by becoming aware of the story or the belief that might be on autopilot. And one of the most powerful things that I learned that helped me become way more magnetic It was the power of vulnerability. Vulnerability is the ability, vulner means wound, and ability is the ability to go into your wounds. And the reason people normally are afraid to be vulnerable is they're afraid if they're vulnerable, they're going to get abandoned again. Like that maybe they were in childhood. So it's like we put on this front. So maybe like an anxious person, maybe more people pleaser, nice guy pattern, which is something that I had to break because I learned it from my dad, and then I would attract people in my life that I felt like I had to fix. But the game changer was becoming aware of that energy inside of me and then making a choice to let it go, but also to heal and to realize that there was an abandonment wound where what I was doing is I was trying to help everybody else because that's what felt familiar and safe for me, versus not abandoning myself and actually being vulnerable and expressing the real me. So I'd put on this front like, oh, I'd be really nice, and that would depolarize sexual dynamics. And I would it's almost like I was hiding if I had feelings for someone because I was afraid of that rejection. But eventually I realized that the more I was vulnerable and expressing, it's called effective communication. It's what they talk about in that attached book. Effective communication, being able to effectively communicate what you're feeling. Because normally, let's say you're more anxious in a relationship and you're afraid to tell your partner that you're feeling a little bit needy. And now normally what happens is there's another excuse. So instead of getting mad that like maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend wants to go out and hang out with their friends, instead of getting mad about it, protesting, and then going and being quiet about it, which a lot of times will happen in the anxious avoidant trap, you actually express, I wanted to spend more time with you this week. And you want to hang out with your friends a lot, but listen, it's like, I'd love to spend more time with you or something. And the thing is people that are trying to hide shame, they're afraid of even expressing that. Or maybe the avoidant wants more space. So instead of wanting space, they start being mean and start kind of like pushing that other person away. Instead of just saying, listen, I need a little bit of space today. I just need a little bit of space, and then I'll come back and it'll be even better or something. Like being able to express and to be vulnerable is the key to really getting into your heart and the key to really healing. Because then you could start taking care of your own needs. And as you start taking care of your own needs, you can then relate to people in a very different way. So as one of the most magnetic qualities you could possibly have, it includes also being able to let go of neediness. Neediness normally comes from childhood, comes from our unmet childhood needs, trying to get those met. Letting go of neediness is about prioritizing your own sense of validation, your own sense of love, and your own sense of support, and not abandoning the self. And as you do that, it changes absolutely everything, because then you start living according to your own values. You start living according to your own north compass of where you're going, and that is very attractive. And then also, if you haven't heard me talk before about the frame technique, you put your hands in your feet. You put your hands in your feet. You put your energy in your hands and your feet. You feel the separation between you and the other person. You and the wall. You and me and the camera right now. The more you feel safe in your body, the more magnetic energy you will have. The more you want something from the outside, the more dispersed your energy is. Bring the energy in your body and watch how much that begins to change. Now, I am doing something. If you want to ask me your love questions, if you want to listen to my top or hear about my top epiphanies, top books I'm currently reading, I send those out and I can text that to you. So all you got to do is text me your questions at 424-304-0104. Let me know what those are, and then I'll be sending 2 or 3 messages to you a week. And then also, if you haven't checked out this video yet, it's the 5 traits of highly attractive people. These are traits that every single one of us can adopt and take on. Watch this video right here to wire it all in. These are the 5 traits of extremely magnetic people. So people that you perceive to have very contagious energy that kind of pulls you in, makes you desire more, makes them in a way irresistible. I'm going to show you what those 5 traits are and